coming to you live from the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. It's the Sheena Metal Experience with your host, Sheena Metal.
Hi, and welcome to the Sheena Metal Experience on KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. I'm your host, Sheena Metal. I'm a psychic medium. I'm an energetic healer. I'm an interfaith minister. I'm a 29-year talk radio host in Los Angeles and beyond. I'm a creative and a performing artist and also a paranormal survivor. And I come to you live from my home in Southern California every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific time. This show is about creativity. It's about spirituality. It's about humanity. It's about passion. It's about service. It's about becoming and then maintaining being your best you in this big, beautiful world, and then inspiring others to do the same. And it may be my show every week. It is the Sheena Metal Experience, but it's without a doubt every week your experience. And I know our set looks a little different today. I am actually working and vacationing in Palm Springs, California. I extended my trip a little bit for work. So I'm here in my beautiful hotel room that is not purple, but has a green theme. And since I am in a hotel room with just one giant room and a bathroom, there may be some little man sightings. We may have some Cullen the cat sightings. And remember, if you like what you see, you can always find him on Instagram at Cullen the Cat Official. Please follow him because he's having such a great time here in the hotel. If you hear gurgling, it's his fountain. It's a little girl. I'm like, what's that gurgling I'm hearing? My guest today is a wonderfully talented artist, musician, songwriter, spiritual being. She's been a guest on many of my shows, but never on this one. And it's so wonderful to have her here. Please welcome the amazing Mary White. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Hi. How are you?
How are you, my friend? So, and the crowd's going wild.
Yay!
Thank you to my brilliant engineer and producer, Emery, for making everyone happy and feel so like stars when they're here.
Oh, right. For sure. Yeah.
It's good to have you here, my friend.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back. I have a quick question.
Yeah, anything.
What is a paranormal survivor?
So when I was little, I lived in a really gruesome haunted house.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of like an Amityville horror conjuring kind of house. So I use the term paranormal survivor because I think that we talk a lot in this world about different kinds of trauma that people experience from different things, but we don't really talk about paranormal trauma. And that is a struggle that is also real because I kind of can only liken it to seasickness. Have you ever been seasick and you feel like the ground has betrayed you? Well, when your place that you feel safe is your home and you can't go to your home because it's not safe, that is a very traumatic thing for people. Right. And that as a little kid, it was weird. You know, I still sleep with lights on in the house, and my house is covered with salt lamps. And my parents were so unlucky in houses that they went from that house in Baltimore that was so haunted to moving to Huntington Beach, California, where I live now, in a house that was on an Indian burial ground. So I thought about maybe not moving back into that house after my mom passed just because of the Indian burial ground. But salt lamps and selenite wands take good care of me. So I'm back. And this is the first time I've ever stayed in a hotel in Palm Springs that wasn't haunted in my whole life. And I don't know if it's this.
Well, the night's not over. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if it's this place or if it's the cat. Because this is the magic, and maybe he's like chasing the spirits away.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Well, maybe there's some good spirits too there.
Good spirits. You know? That's the kind of spirit you want, and nobody ever talks about, right?
Right.
Have you, Mary? Have you ever lived in a place that was haunted?
Oh, I did. Yeah. I've had some. It's funny because I had some really, really bizarre experiences as a kid too. You know, I would like see things floating out of my bed closet, you know, and like balloons or something. And I'm lucky because I was never really afraid. I would just like at first it's like, that's weird, but I've always felt, as a kid, very, very protected. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not really afraid of anything, really. I mean, if a cobra was in my face, I would be afraid of that. But
so you literally weren't afraid of no ghost when it was.
No, when I did see when in my early 20s, I saw there was a little poltergeist that lived. I call him a poltergeist, but he wasn't mean. Like, he was like just ornery. He would hide things from us and stuff. And I ended up seeing him, and he was like a little boy that looked like he didn't have any hair, and he was like in a hospital gown. So I think he may have been transitioned from that. And I think he just didn't realize where he was. And then when I looked at him, and of course, when I looked at him, I was in fear looking at him, but it passed. It doesn't stay for some reason.
Right.
And I think he just needed to be released, and he just put his little head down like he was embarrassed, and then disappeared into the wall.
Oh, yeah. I feel that way about most places that aren't my own house. I'm like, oh, how sweet. Let me help you. In my house, I'm like, no, then that's the paranormal survivor thing, right? That's a beautiful story, though.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. I stayed at a place. I was hosting a Pride festival in Billings, Montana. And they put us up in this very old kind of classic boutique motel, the Dude Rancher. And all the walls were this red brick, but they were black, like they'd been burned. And every night I would wake up and I would see somebody who looked like a nurse, but like from the 30s, and 3 or 4 little children in front of the door staring at me. So, of course, I don't like that so much because of the childhood. And so...
Now, I think, some people experience it a lot more than others. You know what I mean? You probably have a lot more experience than I have. I mean, maybe once every, 5 years or something. And my sister and I have experienced interesting things together. So that's always nice validation going, well, she saw it too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I get it. So I think I get it so much that I thought for years I didn't think I had gifts. I thought it was just because when you've lived in a haunted place and you've seen them, it's almost like you're sort of marked, and then they continue to show themselves like, oh, look, this one can see us. I didn't associate it till I was an adult. Anyway, in that hotel that I was staying in, because of all the bricks at the time, this was years ago when Wi-Fi wasn't so great. The only place you could get Wi-Fi was in the lobby. So I would go in the lobby at night, answer my email, and struck up a conversation with the desk clerk, the night clerk. And he wanted to know all these questions like, what's Mulholland Drive like? And have you seen the Walk of Fame? And just wanted to know about LA. So I would ask him questions about Montana. And at one point I said, look, this motel always smells like, what do you guys burn? Is there some kind of incense, or is it the fireplace? What is this delicious burning smell? Because, being a fire sign, I do like the smell of fire. And he's like, oh, it's probably the bricks. So in the 30s, the orphanage burned down, and we got all the bricks and built the motel with them. Oh. So I think that what I was seeing was, was from the orphanage. It was, it was the residual energy attached to the bricks.
Right.
As I predicted, we're all about to have a sighting here. No, we're not. He's going to be very busy. So tell me about, because you did my radio show a few months ago, and we had such a great time talking about spirituality. For you, is there a separation between your creativity and your spirituality, or is it impossible to separate the two?
No, I mean, I think it's, even though when I write songs, I always copyright them and publish them under my own name. But to be honest with you, they should, deserve a credit of
I
a
100%
co-creator
agree.
because
I
I don't.
100% agree with that.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
it's
don't really.
completely a co-creation, right? Spirit is everyone's writing partner.
Right. Which, you know what is so funny that you're bringing this up? I wrote a poem that really
Oh,
it lends itself to what you just said.
I love it. Let's hear it.
Can I read it real
Yes,
quick?
please.
Okay, so I kind of had a little bit of I've never had writer's block ever. And the last song that I had written was for a partner, and we are not together anymore. And so I just kind of had a little bit of God, am I going to write another song? I just kind of detached myself a little bit. So I thought and I never sit down to write a song. Songs always show up, and then they're like children, and then I deliver them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so this particular time, I thought I'm gonna sit down and meditate and let something come to me. And so I did. I sat down, I meditated, and at the end of meditating, nothing was there. And I had my empty page of paper all ready to go. And I thought, okay, well, just be aware of your surroundings. And so I looked at what my surroundings was, which was my hand on an empty page. And then that's how it starts. It says, I see my hand so small, yet so strong. The works they have done were not alone. The songs they wrote and the music they played were from the one who never strayed. I did stray far away from the one which whom I'd always pray, begging and pleading for dreams unseen, oh so close, but just out of reach. Over and over and over again, hope filled my heart, then frustration set in. Disappointment became an ongoing game. Between my ears, madness remained. But the sun rises each day, and I open my eyes, seeking a way to find the surprise. The gift I've been given to joyfully use, the way the one sees fit, not the way I choose. For I am not the controller at all, only the hand, so strong yet so small.
That is so beautiful. How can that go into a song? That is so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I wrote some chords and a little bit of melody, but just when you were talking about that, and I had set that aside because I thought this is going to come up. I bet you.
It did.
Yeah.
But that's the thing I think that we forget, and my clients ask me about this all the time, is that this is an imperfect world. It's a teaching planet. We're here to learn lessons. We are imperfect. Other humans are imperfect. So we can't expect our experiences with them to be anything but less than perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But spirit is the perfection, right? And that is it's our first relationship. It's our most important relationship. It's the relationship we'll always have. And it is so...
And it's a part of us.
It is.
It's a piece of us.
We tend to push it to the side to worry about what's going on with people.
Yeah.
And it should be the thing that we always think of first. It should be I talk about this during my spiritual services a lot, that there are 4 major relationships you have in your life. There's your relationship with yourself, which is the most important. Your relationship with spirit, which is number 2. Your relationship with the earth, which is 3. And then your relationship with people. Most people switch that, right? It's all about people. Then it's all about what does the world think of me? Then it's, oh my God, does God hate me? And the last relationship is always the one with us. And being grounded to yourself is so important. And I know people like to say, oh, the best songs come from misery. But I mean, maybe from a miserable experience, but I think the best songs come from being grounded to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm hearing a ringing. That's always a sign of, do you know that? Do you know that? I heard that when there's a ringing, there's like a spirit or something around.
Yeah, I don't get the ringing. I get the light flashes in my eyes.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. I get ringing sometimes, but I think it's probably just something in the house. But a lot of people get the ringing when spirit is close.
Yeah, it's a high. Yeah,
I also get that the warm feeling in my solar plexus. Do you get that?
Mm. Mm-mm.
Oh, I get that a
No,
lot.
but I do sometimes feel a washing.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Mhm.
How long did you know? How long have you known what a spiritual person you are? And when did you know what an important part that was of your creativity?
Well, being raised in a particular, I mean, when you're raised in a religion, so to speak, but then you kind of are able to, as an adult, you get to go, okay, maybe this or maybe that. So then you grow up and you become who and what you want to be
Right.
spiritually, what you want to be connected. So, but there's always that root source, and I think that's very important as a child when you get to have um, some sort of a root that you're connected to. So, I think as a child, I was always connected to God, divine, whatever it is for whoever's listening. It's still the same thing to me, but
Yeah, me too.
yeah. Um, so I don't know. I don't really recall an actual moment, that I experienced. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's always interesting because I think as humans, we always have this, back and forth we're connected and then we're not, it's like, well,
Sure.
where are you now? Or then we'll have this, oh my God, you're everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that's just our humanness. You know what I mean? We can go, are you even real? And then the next day we're on a high going, oh my gosh, you just did this miracle for me. So it's always, but that's just the human in
I
us.
agree. And people ask me, that, and people probably do you too. Like, do you ever doubt? Yeah, I mean, I think doubting is part of believing. I
Right.
think sometimes you have to. Like, I was having this talk this weekend with some friends who are atheists, and they were like, "But how do you know? How do you know?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And every once in a while, I ask myself, like, "What if I'm nuts and all of this isn't real?" I mean, I think that's perfectly normal to ask, and I think it makes you a better believer when you ask the questions of, hey, is this what is there a chance that someday I'll wake up in the dirt and go, uh-oh, it was all nothing? Well, sure. Yeah, it's always a chance that it might not be real. That's part of the believing, is the not knowing, right?
Right.
And
And the
I think
faith is, go ahead.
you have to be a good skeptic to be a good believer.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because you're really finding out what you believe by asking yourself the questions, not just taking in everything as it comes to you, which is, I think, what you said earlier. A lot of us, not myself, I didn't grow up in a church, but a lot of folks who grew up in a church, move away from that life of you have to believe in everything because the church says so, and start figuring out what it is they really believe. And I think that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the reasons, I'll give you the reason that I believe, and it really is an actual reason, because everything, I don't know if I told you this last time we chatted, but
Tell me again. Tell these people. It's a new show.
every-
It's a new.
everything that has ever been invented or created
Sure.
has been a thought first.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like my table someone had to think of the table, this
Yep.
computer, somebody had to think of the computer first, right? So everything that's ever been created has had a thought behind it. And I believe the Big Bang was God thought.
Yes.
I think
do
I don't think anything can be created without a thought first.
I agree.
And then who would have the thought other than the divine,
I agree. And I think that thought wasn't just made with the earth. I think many, many civilizations around the universe were created with that same thought. We
Mhm.
just only think about this realm because this is where we are.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
infinite, all
Yeah,
universes, and yeah, everything there is. But there's so much. I mean, there's so much. You look
I
and
know.
see-
I
I
know.
mean, we're on this little teeny tiny thing, you
I
know.
know. In this little bitty tiny solar system that's so tiny comparatively.
Right,
I
but
think it was all a thought. The way an artist thinks about something, the way an artist will have a giant canvas in front of them, and first they'll work on this little part, and then they'll work on this part, and then they work on this part. I think that's sort of how universe orchestrated the universe.
yeah. I mean, if you look and I mean, there's some stuff out there where it shows the size of all the, and there are these big, massive planets that are so, you thought the sun was the biggest one. They've got this whole thing, and we're just this teeny tiny speck of not even pepper in this whole thing. But yet, that teeny tiny speck of pepper is so powerful
Yeah.
that it can it can truly change somebody, make somebody feel better. I mean, it's like you take a rock and you throw it in a pond, and there's ripples and ripples and ripples, and that
Yeah.
one rock just affected. So how are you going to affect people? Are you going to affect them in a kind, loving way, or
Yeah.
is your piece of pepper going to be, you know, hurtful? You know what I mean? It's powerful. We're tiny in the whole universe thing, but it is a powerful thing. We are.
Yes. Yes. It's yes, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And we're even, I'll go even one further and say we're just a little speck on this planet, each of us. So
Mm,
we're a speck in a speck in a speck.
right, right,
And
right,
still, every one of us matters so
right.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Every single petal on a flower is important.
Right.
Everything is here for a reason. My mom used to say that the universe was a giant machine, and each one of us was a little cog that ran it.
Yeah.
And that if one cog isn't working, the machine doesn't run as well as it should.
Right.
And every person, every animal, every plant, every rock is here for a reason, and it is important. And
Mm-hmm.
when you think about that, everything is so beautiful, because I think so many people, I'll say people, because I think animals' mindsets are so much more beautiful and different. So many people, they don't understand why they're here. They think nobody cares, nobody loves me, there's no reason me to be here. Why am I here? And the truth is, we're all here for as important a reason as any of the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to do your thing, because your thing,
Mm-hmm.
that thing that's you, that's what you bring to the world, and that's what the world needs.
Right. And I think, you know, I have a real compassionate, for anybody that feels that way, because they're lost, and they don't, they don't know where they're going. And I know what that can feel like sometimes, of course, because as we were talking before, you can be on this path of your path, and then you can be on a path of where the heck am I going,
Yes.
So
Yes.
I understand that. And I think one of the beautiful ways to get out of that being of that, it is being of service, because if you can get yourself into someone else, you get out of yourself, what I mean?
Yes.
Then
Yes.
you can find what your purpose is, and honestly, purpose is going to always be about where you find your joy.
Yes.
you know
Yes.
yeah, where
100%.
where
Yeah.
you
And also, I had a healer friend that I love this. I repeat this all the time, that used to say, when you give a healing, you get a healing.
oh
And
yeah,
I think that's so true. I think when you perform music, right, Mary, you heal others, and you get a healing at the
I
same time.
love it.
At
Mm-hmm.
the end of a show, you're going home healed. They're going home healed. Your musicians are going home healed. The space where you performed is more healed for having had the music there.
Yeah,
And everybody's healed. And I
right.
think that is the most beautiful story, where an event happens and everyone gets healing from it. And it's interesting, because when I was talking to this atheist, one of the atheists I was talking to this weekend was a musician. And one of the things I use, because you want to be an atheist, that's fine with me. I respect everybody's belief in anything. But I was telling this person about how I have a couple of friends, good friends, who consider themselves atheists. And one of them I had just had dinner here in Palm Springs with the night before, but they still believe in psychic energy. They believe in energy. They believe in fairies. They just don't believe that, there's an angry God oppressing people. And I know that atheism, like everything else, is a spectrum. Some people just believe in nothing. And I said, if you don't believe energy exists, when you perform music and you feel that connection to an audience, and you can almost feel like, for me, it feels like a pancake of energy that's over the stage and over the audience, and it just hovers there the entire time you perform. If that's not proof of energy, I don't know what is, because it's palpable and you can feel it, and it's inside of you and it's inside of them, and it's a very pure solar plexus connection, right? Yeah. Like all soul ties, solar plexus chakra to solar plexus chakra. If I was a non-believer in everything, my time performing music and theater and comedy would have made me a performer because of that feeling. I don't know how you can deny that feeling is otherworldly.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's powerful. It's so powerful. We were just doing a gig the other day, and this little old man comes up and he introduced himself, and he just was, you could just feel that he was so appreciative. And he said, I just can't thank you girls enough. He said, my wife was diagnosed with cancer and she's been going through chemo. And I told her we're going to get out of the house. And he said, you made her day, just by the music, and it's like, when you hear things like that, we just get up there and sing our songs, and, we always have a good time because that's right. What when I'm performing, I'm in heaven. So if I'm in heaven, you're going to be in heaven too, because
exactly
that's
right.
Providing, you know what I mean? So, and it's moments like that we go, and my partner Shelly and I, we just looked at each other and we gave a high five, and we're like, that's why we do what we do, because those little moments that people are in a sad place, or, and we've had people who have lost, my mother passed away, and we came to your show and you gave us so much joy, so that's all, that's the reward and the love that we get back. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. I love those stories,
Well, also, I think sometimes loved ones visit when you are seeing music or playing music. People are very in their earthly lives, right? Most people love music. They all love different kinds of music, but most people love some kind of music. So when they pass, I think that love of music stays. And oftentimes music is the soundtrack of our lives, right? We connect to other people through music.
It can take you to a place in time. It can take you to a memory. It can make you dance. It can make you sing. It can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
I remember the first Easter after my mom passed. I was driving out west of where I lived in the San Fernando Valley, about a half an hour, to go to a friend's for Easter. And I dragged myself there. Like, I just didn't want to go. I didn't want to do anything. Easter was such a big thing for my mom, and it was so sad to do it without her. And I'm in the car and I'm driving there, and three of her songs that she sang to me all the time as a kid, boom, 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 right in a row on the radio.
Oh my God.
Like, oh, there you are. Yeah, there you are.
Wow.
And not songs you hear every day, like songs from the 70s, not things that you hear every day.
They were her favorite songs?
They were, Ray Stevens, Everything is Beautiful.
That's a good one. I like that. I want to put that in my...
Tony Orlando, Knock 3 Times, and BJ Thomas, Raindrops Are Falling on My Head.
And they're all good, happy songs.
Everything is Beautiful. I sing it to Cullen now. Whenever he's a little grumpy, I hold him and sing it to him. It's one of our songs. But yeah, that one especially, I hear all the time when I'm feeling like I'm missing her. And that's not something you hear on the radio like every day. It'll just pop up on the radio, and there it is.
But to have them all in the row like that,
to have all 3 in a row on
that's
Easter
crazy. Yeah.
as I was driving to this thing.
How
I
can
think
you deny that? You know, that's
Exactly.
a perfect example of how can you deny that that's not just a coincidence, you know?
Yeah. It's a strange there's so many things. I mean, I'm here doing this work because after she passed, it was the first thing she came to me and said, now it's time for you to do this, because she did this. Never like I do. She did it on the down low, where you just come to my house and get a reading and not know it. But she always wanted me to move my life more into service. And after she passed, it was, I mean, I think I always did through art. I did it through art, and I'm happy I did it that way. But after she passed, she was like, okay, now it's time to do this. And I never said no to her. So I'm not going to start now. Boy, was she right, because it was exactly where I needed to be.
Yeah.
But I think that they're always guiding us. And we don't need to be so sad that they're gone, because they're not gone. They're just in a different space. And I think it's so much easier to deal with grief if you can think of it not as a death, but as a move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just, it's just the humanness, because we are used to that flesh and blood, that's what we know, but
yeah, that's very true. That's true. Do you always write with someone else, or do you mostly write by yourself?
I mostly write by myself, but I have written songs with others as well. Just depending on whatever circumstance. Like I said, when I write by myself, most of the time, songs really do appear as children. They're like, they literally just show up. I rarely have ever sat down. If I'm co-writing with somebody, let's have a writing session. Then there'll be an appointment, whatever. But if I'm by myself, it's like, I sit down at the piano. I have thousands of piano pieces, and they've not even been recorded, or they've been recorded but not released or anything.
Right.
And I got to do that, because I literally just sit down at a piano, and that I cannot not play it, not write a song. It just always comes just as I play, So
yeah.
So it just depends on when music wants to show up.
It's a spirit's time. I always tell my clients the universe doesn't give a damn about your timeline, because they'll be like, I want this by January 3rd. I'm like, yeah, okay, well, it's good to want things. It's good to set intentions. It's good to manifest. But ultimately, spirit kind of gives when it gives. And I think being artists, right, we grew up with that, of the art just coming when spirit decided it was time. We've all written songs on a Starbucks napkin.
Oh God, yeah, that's funny that you say that. I've done that, yeah.
Because it's like, oh, here it comes.
So,
and I think even in my spiritual life, I didn't realize it was going to be this way. But when I got the message to open my practice, when I got the message to become an ordained minister, when I got the message to start my nonprofit, literally, I was in a Walmart parking lot, and spirit's like, okay, here's some things you got to do. And I'm like, oh, I got to find a Starbucks napkin. So it's, I think in general, the messages come when spirit decides you need to hear them. And, and songwriting, right, for you, this is a part of your service. So spirit is giving you your next service. Here's your song. This is your next one.
Mm-hmm.
Get it out there and change some people's lives with it. I think it's so beautiful. And have you always known you were changing people's lives when you performed?
No, I don't. I've never thought that. I still don't think I change people's lives. I think, I mean, I know that that I probably touch people's lives. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't. Who knows? Whose lives I've changed. I think,
I think a lot of people.
Maybe I don't. I don't know. I just know that. It's funny when you were saying that, talking about what happened to you in Walmart, and you knew that you were split. Okay. And I love the fact that you hear and you obey,
I
or
get the napkin.
that's
I
a
get the
better word,
napkin.
act
Yes.
on it. A
Yeah.
lot of people don't necessarily, they'll hear it,
I know.
but they don't act on it. And
Yeah.
then, and that's the big part, because I have to. It's like, oh, okay, you said that, here I go, and I move. Like I can't say, I would say 99.9% of the time, if I'm guided, I'll do it. And you got to know there's times where you don't necessarily want to do it, because you're like, oh my God, what is everybody going to think if I post this thing that I'm supposed to be posting? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's the one thing that I think is just really important, is to always, once you hear the voice, recognize the voice, and then move with it, because spirit really does want life to be easy for us. They don't really want us we go through struggles because we're separated, and we try to do it on our own, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I've changed people's lives. All I know is the main thing that I do is I just kind of try to do as I'm guided,
Don't you think when you touch a life, you've changed a life? Because if you're adding more positivity, more light into someone, then you've changed the spiritual molecules and overall changed who they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And I do have there's a good example of that. I guess I try to be, more in a, I don't know, to me, by going, oh, I changed people's lives. That for me is, I struggle with an ego and a humility. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to, I don't ever want to think that, number one,
well,
it's not me. It's not me anyway.
I said it. So
yeah,
it's good. You're off the hook.
Yeah, it's not me anyway, right? So
right.
it's whoever, it's the source working through me. So if somebody's lives changed because they were using me as a tool, then that's what happened. So I didn't do it myself. But this friend of mine was going through, oh, bless her heart, she's going through a heartache, and she needed to come and to the Mary White Sanctuary. And I said, you come here and I'm gonna make you feel safe, and everything's gonna be good, blah blah blah. Well, she had this whole list of things that she needed to do, and I said, you know what, here's a mantra, and I love this. You're gonna love this. I don't know how I came up with it, but I love it, and it works really well for me. When you've got so many things that you have to do, and they're all in your head, and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do all these things? I'm getting overwhelmed. Well, that's not today. It's as simple as that. That's not today. And it doesn't have to be today. You put it in the next day, And so my friend who was going through all this stuff, I'm like, how you doing? She's like, oh my God, Mary, that's not today. That is something that is now I'm going to do for the rest of my life. She says, because I have all these things, but all I have to do is say, well, it's not today. So
yeah.
Well, that I did change, that changed her perspective, so that would be an instant, I guess, of that working for somebody.
My mom had this wonderful expression I tell my clients all the time. She used to always say, it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
And it was about, things you worry about, things you're panicking about. When I was a kid, I had a lot of surgeries, and they'd book me for a surgery, and it was like 8 weeks down the road. And I'd be she's like, look, it's not happening for 8 weeks. So today, let's go to a movie. Let's get some ice cream. Let's have fun. That is not happening today. It hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened
yet. When it is the day, then where it's happening. If the thing does happen, then you say, okay, this is the day it happens. But tomorrow, then when it got to the point where I was 24 hours from the surgery, she would say, you know what? in 24 hours, this will all be over.
Right.
So it was always about how you don't panic until it happens, because it might not. When it does happen, then just think, okay, you know what? In a day, it'll be over.
Yeah.
In 2 days, it'll be over. In a week, it'll be over. So you're not always spending your life in a place of dread, worrying about the one thing that's taking up one day in a year, but you're spending a whole year worried about it. And sometimes it doesn't even ever happen.
Right. Right. Fear is a worry of an expectation of the future that may not ever, like you said, may never happen.
May never happen at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I went last night and with some friends to see live band karaoke. I've never seen live band karaoke before. And man, and I'm used to, like, you know, SoCal, where it's all people that want to be performers getting up and singing. There was so much fearlessness in these people. This woman got up. She was probably, you know, well into her 70s. And she sang Don't Stop Believing.
Oh, I love it.
She belted the living hell out of that thing.
Wow.
And it was gorgeous. And she had no fear. She was, you know, dancing the stage, and then another friend I have just met got up and did Proud Mary, and she was dancing the Tina Turner. And I'm like, you know what? These people, they come here every week and they do this, and they're fearless.
How fun.
And how good it must feel, the adrenaline rush you must get after that fearlessness.
Yeah. Right.
Because we spend so much of our lives so scared of things that haven't even happened or might not happen. And how amazing to get up and face being in front of people. This one woman, she was so great. What did she sing? She was fantastic. I don't remember. And then she came by me and I said, "Oh my God, you were great." She's like, "I'm going to go home and die of embarrassment." And I'm like, "Why? You were fantastic." So I think we need to, as people, give ourselves more of those experiences, Mary, right? More of those days, more of that fearlessness, where we just get out there and try something that is our heart's desire. And see what it's like. What's the worst that can happen?
It's so funny because I say that to people, like if they're afraid of something, or performing or whatever. I say, okay, here, let's look at it. The worst thing that could happen is you could die, and that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and even if you did, that might not be the worst thing that would happen.
Exactly. Then you're free. Yay, you're free. That's the thing. The worst thing that can happen is you cease to be on the earth, and then you go home, and it's a whole different thing that's amazing.
Yeah, so
there is no worst that can happen.
No, there's not. There's not.
What do you hope people feel when they come and watch you perform, like on a human level, on a spiritual level, on a service level? What are you hoping people are going to get or feel after they've spent some time with you performing music in their presence?
You know what? I hope if we're doing a fun song, they get to feel joy. They get to dance and just express themselves. I hope if we're doing a serious song and a song about love, they get to think about who they're in love with, I think it just varies on what we're doing at the time. But I think one of the things that I always tell my band is before we even start, I say, if we have fun, they'll have fun, And so we do. When we're on stage, it's contagious. We laugh. We don't take a lot of stuff real seriously because especially with Shelly and I, when we do like a duo, we have a banter that and we bring the crowd in. It's not like we're just doing songs and they're having conversation.
Yes.
We engage them like they're not having conversation because they are part of it. It's an all conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like a big party and people don't even know each other. And then I'm talking about, table number 7 over there. You got to meet table number 6, and whatever, So they come to I like them to come to our show and feel like they've been a part of a community of some kind and a a oneness. You
I
know what I
love
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they feel it. They do feel it, you know, because they're it's enjoyable, a lot of fun. I am in heaven when I am on stage singing a song. I am literally in my happy place,
I
you know.
love,
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
that. I think we all need to, right? We need to have more positive experiences and in life, all of us, and we need to feel more moments of connection.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
when you look at the great quotes of Buddha, the great teachings of Christ, it's all about community, connection, and love, right? We need more love in our lives. We need more community, and we need more connection. And that
Right.
means connection to spirit, connection to us, connection to others. There just needs to be more connection, more grounding to the earth overall. So when you go to something like a show, like someone comes to your show, Mary, and there's this collective experience of everybody is having the same experience at the same time, that is not only community, it's also connection, and it's also love. And that's what our human experience is all about. And that's why things like live music, live theater, live comedy, those things are so important,
I
because
agree.
it's wonderful to have that experience happening up in front of you. When I was working on my my last radio gig up in Los Angeles and interviewing a lot of people from classic television and classic films, and they were performing in little theaters, I would always go see them. And I would tell people, look, if you liked an actor in a show, go and watch them perform like 10 feet in front of you, because there is nothing like watching their channeling experience as an actor literally happening so close that you could reach out and touch them. And it's
Right.
the same thing with live music. It's great to listen to music on the radio, on your computer, on CDs, whatever you got, but there is nothing like being right up against somebody
Well,
and seeing that energy come out.
I think there's so much power and so much beauty and intention with the whole social media. You know what I mean? It's a source that we definitely need, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
However, this little thing that gives you things, it's going to give you what you want, and in giving that, it has a separation, because people are now we're in that separation place. You know what I
Right.
mean? However, you go to a live event, you're not going to know, oh, are they on this side or are they on that side? It's
Yes.
just a wholeness. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The little square that we've been looking at and
Yeah.
dividing ourselves, whether it's the television or our phone or news, that's dividing us. But you go out into the world, we have this beautiful world that has been created for us to enjoy and to
Yes.
commune with people. We need to get back to that and take a time out. We got to use it because it's part of the process. It's marketing, you know, but we also got to realize this little thing makes us over here and makes us over here. But when we get together, it brings us together, you know.
100%. I could not agree with you more, my friend. It's so true. What's on your mind as far as writing? What are the things that you're channeling right now to write about? What does spirit want to use you as the conduit? What do they want the world to know?
I want the world to come back together
Mm.
and be one. You know, I mean, my God, in the 60s, they all wrote the cool little songs. You know, Bob Marley was on. I mean, we've had throughout centuries, you know, the artists that got it, you know,
Yeah.
and then, you know, but I think we are just a part of this one big collective, and we need to love each other more, you know, and just accept each other. I mean, we don't have everybody's going to have their own beliefs, you know. People
Sure.
are raised a certain way, you know what I mean? You can't change the way someone's raised, but you can change the way you respond to somebody if you don't believe in what they believe in. And everybody has a right to believe in what they believe in. That's the whole, you know, that's that's our right as human beings. We have a right to believe what we believe, just because we don't agree with it. And I do believe there's right and wrong, you know what I mean? But it's not my place to judge somebody, you know what I mean? I don't have to love what you believe in, but I just think we just need a lot more, less hate and more love,
I agree.
It
Finding
breaks
love.
my heart to see,
Yeah.
what is happening,
Yeah.
But
And more
we don't
tenderness. Lately, I've been really thinking about we need more tenderness. We need to be more tender with each other. And
Mhm.
people always say, oh, but then what if? And I understand. Look, and I will be the first one on the front lines, and I have been, to say I will stay open and I will stay positive and I will stay gentle and I will stay tender no matter how many weird things this word shows me, how many hard things this world shows me, because some of us have to stay open-hearted and tender, or tenderness is going to leave our species. And
Right.
that makes me so sad.
That's
You
what
know?
we have to be examples.
Yes.
We have
Yeah.
to be the rock that goes in the ripple and sends out, and sends that out.
And it's hard to figure out how to become the Cadbury cream egg, right? How to be hard on the outside and squishy and soft on the inside. But it can be done. And I'm not saying live with your rose-colored glasses on and just become a victim to people's weirdness over and over again. You have to set boundaries. You have to decide where you belong and where you don't belong. But that doesn't mean you have to get hard on the inside, right? It just means that you have to be careful who you show the inside of your cream egg to.
Yeah. Well, I believe that people have to stand for what they believe in. There's nothing wrong with that. That's probably what you mean by the hard part. I mean, you have to have, your truth and your integrity, and you stand for something, and that's what you stand for. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But I think that we're not in a place, we have no idea what somebody else's spiritual journey is.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, correct.
And maybe that's, as much as we don't approve of where they are, that might have been what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? We have no idea what path they have to take, in order to learn their lessons, or in order for us to learn lessons based on what they're giving us. Isn't that that's the real trick, right?
You said it. And
Uh-huh.
what a perfect way to tell you we're out of time. You are brilliant, my friend. Please come back and we'll do this again. Maybe next time you play a little music for us on the show. I would love
that. Sure.
Would you like to do that? Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
MaryWhite.com, the Mary White Band on Facebook. That's the performer. The music producer and sound engineer is QP Sound, letter Q as in quality production sound.com, QPsound.com. That's my production company.
And if you missed any of that, I'm at SheenaMetalSpiritual.com, everywhere on all social media at Sheena Metal. And you can text me and get to know me better. Here's my phone, 818-437-0886. Thank you, my friend, for being here. I'm so honored.
Oh, thank you, darling. I'm
sorry, sweetie. I couldn't hear you over the screaming crowd. Thank you so much to Parapod TV and its owner and operator, Tony Sweet, my dear friend, for having us here and allowing us to be part of your television family. Thank you to my engineer and producer, Emery. You are the wind beneath my wings, buddy. What would I do without you? Until I see you next time, my friends, seek peace, live in love, lead with kindness, embrace unity, always work to raise your vibration, and know that you are love and you are loved, and you're so absolutely loved by me. I'm Sheena. This is the Sheena Metal Experience on Parapod TV, and only on Parapod TV. And you know what? We'll see you next week. Stay beautiful. Take care of you, and keep love and spirit in your heart. I'll see you next time.